Hello students, and welcome once again to my new video lesson. In this video we are going to discuss figures of speech. Well, let us first know what is the objective of learning figures of speech. Well, students usually understand the literal meaning for poetry and short stories or long stories, but interpreting figurative language is more challenging, perplexing, stimulating, and thought-provoking. This lesson instigates the difference between figurative and literal language, then goes into specific types of figurative language. Students demonstrate their knowledge by developing original metaphors and similes by adopting various activities. Well, after the lesson, the students will be able to explain the difference between figurative and literal language, then identify and categorize examples of figurative language from poetry and prose, and then create original metaphors and similes using them in their own sentences, and perhaps many more. Well, here we have the table of figures of speech. The figures of speech that we are going to discuss in this video lesson: simile, metaphor, imagery, alliteration, assonance, consonants, anaphora, apostrophe, antithesis, irony, oxymoron, and onomatopoeia. So let us now begin with the definition. What is figure of speech? Well, a word or a phrase which transcends its literal interpretation. Figures of speech often provides emphasis, freshness of expression, or clarity. However, clarity may also suffer from their use, as any figure of speech introduces an ambiguity between literal and figurative interpretation. A figure of speech is a word or phrase that possesses a separate meaning from its literal definition. It can be a metaphor or simile, designed to make a comparison. It can be the repetition of alliteration or the exaggeration of a hyperbole to provide a dramatic effect. For example, in literal language, it is raining heavily, but the same in figurative speech is, it is raining cats and dogs. So here we see that the expression has been transcended. So let us first begin with simile and metaphor. As we all know, simile and metaphor are the most common figure of speech that we come across every day. So, what is a simile? A simile is a comparison between two unlike things using the word like or as. For example, like flowers in a garden. Sentence: children are like flowers in a garden. Second example, as fast as cheetah. To use it in a sentence, he ran as fast as cheetah. So the next one is metaphor. A metaphor makes a direct comparison between two unlike things or ideas. How? Let's see the example. Time is money. All right. And the second example is, the world is a stage. You can put one more example, that he was a lion in the battle. So you can see that there is a direct comparison between two unlike things or ideas. The next we have imagery. Imagery is language used by poets, novelists, and other writers to create images in the mind of the reader. Imagery includes figurative and metaphorical language to improve the reader's experience through their senses. Well, the examples of imagery are the common examples. Imagery using visuals. The night was black as ever, but bright stars lit up the sky in beautiful and varied constellations which were sprinkled across the astronomical landscape. In this example, the experience of the night sky is described in depth with color black as ever, bright, shape, which is varied constellations, and pattern, which is sprinkled. Then we have imagery using sounds. Silence was broken by the peal of piano keys as Shannon began practicing her concerto. Here, auditory imagery breaks silence with the beautiful sound of piano keys. So we have these two, imagery using visuals and imagery using sounds, most commonly used in the prose and the poems. Next we have alliteration and assonance. So let's see what is alliteration first. Alliteration is when there is a repetition of sound within a phrase or sentence. Here are some examples of alliteration in use. She sells seashells on the seashore. So we see here S sound being repeated. Next we have Betty bought some bitter butter. In this example we see the sound B or the letter B is being used and the sound B is being repeated. Then we have Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. So in this we have the sound, it's very simple, P. The P sound is being repeated in this example. Well, next we have assonance. Assonance is the similarity in sound between vowels in the middle of neighboring words. Here are some examples of assonance in use. To make it more clear, how now brown cow. So we see in every word in this example, in the middle you have the letter O, which is a vowel, and hence it is being repeated. So it's an assonance. Then we have on the side of the hide. All right. So here we have I being repeated, the vowel I being repeated in side and hide. Then we have top of the pop, where O has been the vowel which is being repeated in the words top of the pop. Well, next we have consonants. Consonants refers to repetitive sounds produced by consonants within a sentence or phrase. This repetition often takes place in quick succession, such as in pitter patter, not to be confused with alliteration. Well, it is classified as a literary device used in both poetry as well as in prose. For instance, the words chuckle, fickle, and kick are consonant with one another due to the existence of common interior consonant sounds CK. Consonance is inherently different from assonance, which involves the repetition of similar vowel sounds within a word, sentence, or phrase. In contrast to alliteration, consonance involves repetition of consonant sounds only and not any other sound. So it is a consonant sounds repetition. To make more clear, we have some examples. The ship has sailed to the far off shore. So here we have the sound as SH, SH, SA, and SH here. So the sound is S. Basically, the ship has sailed to the far off shore. This is consonant S. Whether it is the sound of S or it is the sound of sh, it is a consonant being repeated. Then we have she ate 7 sandwiches on a sunny Sunday last year. Again we have the consonant S being repeated here. Then we have the third example as Shelley sells shells by the seashore. All right, it acts as tongue twister come, the repetition consonants, which will help you to overcome the problem of pronunciation of these letters, of these words and sound. So Shelley sells shells by the seashore. You can see the underlined words make it clear that the sound SH is being repeated in this example. Next we have anaphora and apostrophe. Let's begin with anaphora first. Anaphora is a technique where several phrases or verses begin with the same word or words. In other words, anaphora is when a word is repeated multiple times within a phrase. To make it more clear, we have some examples. I came, I saw, I conquered. This expression is found in Julius Caesar, written by William Shakespeare. So I came, I saw, I conquered. You see, I is the word that has been repeated. Then we have mad world, mad kings, mad composition. Again written by William Shakespeare in King John 2, where the word mad is being repeated in every phrase. Then we have with malice towards none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right. It is written by Abraham Lincoln. The word with has been repeated here in this example. Then we have apostrophe. Apostrophe is speaking to an object or item that is not alive, as if it were in fact. If it were in fact, to be noted, and not to be confused with personification. Here are some examples of apostrophe that is in use. First example, oh, come on, you stupid door, just unlock. Somebody's talking to a door, calling it stupid as if it were alive. So thank you, Owen, for helping me make this meal. Come on, trousers, you have to fit me. So these are the examples where you see that an object or item that is not alive is being treated alive. And next we have antithesis and irony. So first begin with antithesis. Antithesis is applying a juxtaposition of ideas which are contrasting in statement that is balanced. Here are some examples of antithesis in use. Example, man proposes and God disposes. All right. Next we have love is an ideal thing and marriage is a real thing. So we have contrasting things, two contrasting things, which is balanced. Next we have irony. Irony occurs when there is a marked contrast between what is said and what is meant, or between appearance and reality. In other words, irony is a statement which conveys the exact opposite meaning of what is literally being said. It is also a statement which contradicts the situation. Examples to illustrate: the Titanic was said to be unsinkable but sank on its first voyage. This is known as situational irony. Next we have naming a tiny Chihuahua Brutus. Chihuahua is a breed dog just like Pomeranian, and Brutus is a strong figure, and Brutus is a strong character in Julius Caesar. So this is verbal irony. Next we have when the audience knows the killer is hiding in a closet in a scary movie, but the actors do not. This is known as dramatic irony. Next we have oxymoron and onomatopoeia. Let's first begin with oxymoron. Oxymoron is when two words in a phrase contradict one another. For example, the girl next door is pretty ugly. So here we have pretty and ugly contradicting each other. Then we have the cat is mighty small. Mighty and small, they are opposite to one another and has been used together. Then we have a farewell was bittersweet. Here we have bittersweet, two different and opposite words used together. So such words are known as oxymoron. Then next we have onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is the word that sounds like what it is describing. In other words, onomatopoeia is a word which resembles the sound that it describes. Example, the bacon sizzled in the pan. My watch ticks loudly. The crow cawed overhead. So here we have the words sizzle, ticks and cawed used as onomatopoeia. One more example to make it more clear is pitter patter raindrops. Well, now it's time for a question for self-motivation. Read the poem. I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth, and then identify phrases as figures of speech used in the poem by the poet. And this is going to help you understand figures of speech better and work independently given any poem. Well, that's all in this video. I hope you have enjoyed and understood figures of speech. For more videos, please subscribe the channel, like and share among your friends. Thank you for watching.